fast forwarding. Oh god, we've got too much power going on here. Hello everyone, I'm back with another video for you today, and I have a very powerful movement-focused deck for you today, running a lot of my favorite cards. It's a deck that's been performing very, very well for me, actually. The value you can get from Heimdall and bamboozling the opponent, as well as just the buff that we have on Dagger. She's 1 power more than she used to be. Playing the great Vulture Iron Fist combo, and just some really powerful cards in here. I've got Yellowjacket in there, I love the card. But anyway, let's jump right into the cards that we have in the deck, shall we? So the first one is Yellowjacket. Of course, the reason behind this is to have a bit of extra oomph that you always have, whether it be on the last turn with a Heimdall, or maybe early in the game to get priority initiative for your Aero to be more powerful. Yellowjacket is so good in this deck, I would not replace it if I could help it. Next we have Iron Fist. Of course, a great movement card. In fact, the only real enabler of early game movement other than Cloak. We're going to use that a lot of the time on Vulture. That's the main way to use him. Otherwise, maybe you get some extra Kraven value. Maybe you move your Dagger. Oh, Iron Fist is just so good in this deck, of course. We have Dagger, so she's been buffed recently to be 2 power now, which gives her quite the point ceiling. She's very, very powerful. You can get upwards of 8-10 points with her, maybe even more when you throw in perhaps a Cloak, a Heimdall, etc. Dagger's a real force to be reckoned with, and it creates some very interesting situations where you have to think about where your opponent will play cards, where you want to play cards. I love the card, I love Dagger, it's very cool. Next we have Kraven, of course, a movement synergistic card, which I've been not super hot on because it's a bit telegraphed in some ways, your opponent can play around it, but when you combine it with our next card, the Cloak, it can provide some really nice hefty point swings. You could throw in Heimdall, you can move the Kraven with a few other units at the end of the game to get some very good value. Cloak is a bit awkward sometimes, I'm not a huge fan of the card, but in this deck it makes a lot of sense because you can of course get that extra Vulture value, Dagger value. You can play the cards on curve very nicely here because we have so many 2 costs and 3 costs in the deck that you can very easily just slot in a Cloak here or there, a Kraven maybe at some point in the game, and then just heap those points on top of each other and then use, you know, your finishers to clean up afterwards. So really nice. We've got Vulture in there. I couldn't play movement without Vulture, of course. Great card in general, even in non-movement decks, to be honest. Vulture, absolutely stellar card. We have Polaris in there to be able to move, enable Miles Morales, disrupt the opponent a bit, force them into the location that you're maybe playing your Dagger in as well. So Polaris in this deck works very nicely. We have Maximus in there. This card is just to gain priority, just to be a big chunky body, and potentially even to use it at the end of the game or towards the end of the game. I just love Maximus. I think it's such a powerful play, especially when you're running Aero in your deck and you need to be going first in the game to use that Aero. Next we have Shang-Chi. This is going to help us answer anything that's too greedy. Thanos, we can kill him. Dinosaurs, whatever it might be, Red Skulls. Shang-Chi is just very important to answer things that go even taller and even more greedier than we do. Miles Morales is also a key card. Of course, we can make him cost 1 mana very often. It's just such a good value card. We can always combine that with Aero at the end of the game as well, which is our next card, of course. Aero, very powerful if we've played a very strong early game. Maybe we've played, you know, a Vulture, a Maximus, something like that, and we're ahead on the board, then we can always just use Aero to get a pretty easy win against a lot of decks. And then finally we have Heimdall, which is our sort of backup finisher. If we're not ahead in the game, or if we played a bit more slowly, maybe we haven't played any movement, you know, we've played no Iron Fist, we've just got a Dagger, a Vulture on the board maybe, then we can go with a Heimdall at the end and just collect all of that movement value that we've set up previously in the prior turns. So works very fluidly. I just love this deck. It's very powerful. A lot of familiar cards in here, but definitely, I think, a very strong take on the movement archetype. Not running any cards like Human Torch, which is vulnerable to Killmonger, or Doctor Strange, Multiple Man. None of those cards that are a bit inflexible and a bit wonky. We just have great value in this deck, and it works wonders. So, with that being said, let's jump into a few games. Alright, here we go. I'm feeling some similar feelings to how I felt playing Colleen's Swarm. We have a lot of the same cards. Polaris, Miles Morales, and that kind of stuff. But we are, I think, much more movement focused here. Should we go ahead and play a Cloak now, perhaps? Doesn't really do that much for us. Maybe just play it in the nowhere. Get some points on the board over there. I think it's okay. I like playing on curve with this deck because you can always use that Aero at the end of the game to, you know, get a cheeky win over your opponent. Well, the Sanctum's a bit annoying for me, but I do have Yellowjacket, which is good. Could go Polaris in the left as well. I'm sort of tempted to do that, although getting some bodies in Nidavellir is probably also a good shout, isn't it? Just a bit scary because I do play into Shang-Chi a little bit, but they're not playing cards just yet. Curiously. Okay, we have Vulture. I think that's going to have to be a play here for us. And then Spider-Man will be available. Just try to get as much strength as possible here is going to be the game plan. Not sure what they're playing, so I'm not feeling super comfortable with the snap. Going to be a Jubilee coming in, okay. For Lockjaw, so it's a Lockjaw deck from the opponent. Makes sense. I think I can go ahead and just play the Spider-Man here. And maybe hold on to the Shang-Chi for the final turn. Should be pretty good for us. Oh, I should go with the snap really, but we can always do a snap here at the end, I suppose. See what they've got. Just a Chavez. And Vision is pretty strong, in fairness, but I think we'll probably have them beat here with my Shang-Chi. Kind of hard to say for sure, but you know, it'll depend what comes out here from the Lockjaw, I guess. But yeah, if they go with a big... I think we should be good. I'll just do a snap. They might play this one out because they have that Vision in the Sanctum, which is quite strong, of course. But Shang-Chi is a 22-point swing right now. So they're going to need a very, very big card. They're going to need like an Infernaut or something like that from Lockjaw to win, I think. Which seems like a pretty tall order. Maybe if they drew into Wasp, that will be enough for them to win here. And it looks like we're going to get a retreat from them. So we'll take a nice little win. Next game, what do we got here? Onslaught Citadel. We do not have anything that can really work with that. Just to end my turn, we have the Yellowjacket, which is always nice. It really helped us last game with the Nidavellir. And going to be Lemuria. That's quite interesting. I probably will want to play one of my movement focus cards here. Perhaps a Kraven. Should be fine. And I guess I'll play it in the right. In case we get another Sanctum. Let's see what that will be. Oh, Dark Dimension. That's a little awkward for my Kraven, for sure. We could play Vulture and then perhaps Dagger, Cloak next turn. And do we want to play Yellowjacket as well? Probably, right? Can always move that across, or not, depending on how things go. Yeah, the Kraven there, maybe I should have been a bit less greedy and put it in an already revealed location, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'm going to play Dagger and Cloak here. I think I will go Cloak in the left, Dagger in the middle. Seems good. And then, of course, we can get some nice Dagger value. Playing pretty good. Good value so far. Now, unfortunately, the opponent is not going to have too many units in the left, so my Dagger right now is not actually too hot. The Dark Dimension kind of screwed us up a bit here. I could have got more Dagger value and such. In fact, I might not even move Dagger right now. It seems better to hold on to it and then do a Heimdall. Tempting to play Aero. I mean, then again, Shang might be good there, and we do want to Aero Miles last turn, potentially. This is a bit of a weird position to be in. Maybe we do actually go for the Dagger then. Oh, it's a bit strange. I want to Aero Miles at the end though, right? Could always go with Shang-Chi in the right. I suppose we would need to put Polaris over here. Maybe Polaris mid is the play, actually. To move that Zabu across. To get rid of that double ongoing effect. I think I like that. We'll get our Dagger value now. And I'll go for the move as well. And then it's Sarah coming down. Good heavens. So they can play so many cards here. It's a bit troubling, really. This probably has to be a retreat angle, unfortunately, guys. Just because I don't think Aero can really stop how many units... Well, maybe it can, I suppose. So maybe Aero Miles will actually be enough. I'm willing to pay a cube to find out. Let's see if we do have it here with Aero. They can play a ridiculous number of cards, so it's a bit scary. I'm just hoping they play 3 Zabu synergistic cards rather than a bunch of 2s and 1s and all that kind of thing. This probably should be a retreat realistically, but I'm willing to play it out just for that YouTube content. Definitely a bit awkward for me. They are going to go ahead and just absolutely fill the board up, which is not good news. Looks like we do take the L there. Unless, I mean, perhaps they won't have a huge amount of points here with the Typhoid Mary. Oh my god, we actually win that. That is insane. Was not expecting to win that game, but the Hazmat there, I mean, that was a little wonky. No Luke Cage. Bit of a weird one, that last one, wasn't it? Washington DC doesn't really do much for us. We have our movement cards, so getting a Heimdall here will Would be very nice. It's going to be a Thanos deck from the opponent. Camp Lay coming in. We've got Debris. That's pretty interesting. Let's play Dagger over in the right. There's basically no reason not to do that. We have the Cloak, which we can use potentially here. Tempting to play Vulture as well. We'll see. Though, what we want to do, perhaps play a Debris here. Could be either Debris or Vulture. I think I like Vulture in the mid and just try to, you know, either go for the Cloak, moving everything into the left, potentially, or going for that Heimdall a bit later in the game. There's an Aero coming into our hand now. Okay, that's pretty interesting. This seems like it would be the Cloak turn, really. And I can move both of these cards over to the left. Since we don't have Heimdall, I think I will do this. I could have, of course, gone for Cloak in the mid. There's also an argument to do this, the Yellowjacket here. Maybe I will do that. Just get a bunch of points, win at the Washington, and then, well, interestingly, final turn we'll probably want to do Miles plus Aero if we can, which means Polaris next. Perhaps. Oh, they're actually going to go Sandman here. Interesting. Wow, okay. And we have Heimdall in hand. This is a very interesting turn for us. I think we want to play a Heimdall mid this game, so perhaps I'll go ahead and move my Vulture over here to get the win in the left. And I won't move the Dagger. I think I'll just play an Aero mid. No, an Aero left. Oh, Aero right, sorry. Aero right, Heimdall mid. Hopefully we'll take it. I'm not going to snap though. This is a bit of a weird spot to be in, I think. There's also the threat of Doctor Doom, but right now we're sort of okay against that with the Vulture coming in. Danger Room might be a problem. We'll see. Not ideal, shall we say. Well, they're actually going to move me across here. Okay. That's pretty interesting. Heimdall's still looking quite acceptable here. We're going to get 8 plus 4, 12. I mean, if I do it here, we get basically plus 6. We'd have 16 points versus 12. It's the same difference either way, right? So I think this is just it's either a retreat or we just Heimdall and hope they don't have Doctor Doom. I think it will maybe... Oh, it's maybe not Doctor Doom after all. Okay, interesting. They're just going to Thanos us. Well, we can beat Thanos. Oh, I forgot they're a bloody Thanos deck, mate. Of course they're not going to have a Doctor Doom here. Their deck is full of bloody stones. God, yeah, that was a bit of a weird situation there. I kind of forgot they probably wouldn't even have a Doctor Doom. I was tunnel visioning on beating that card, but we don't have any players early game here, which is a bit of a shame. We've somehow drawn all of our 3-cost and above cards and none of our cheaper plays, but no worries. The Yellowjacket's really nice. We've also got Heimdall for 1 less mana this game. So we can ramp up to 6 mana. That seems pretty good here because we can then go with Vulture plus something else. Probably play a Maximus in the Asgard, and we can go Vulture Polaris, something like that. Yellowjacket's just so clutch in Altar of Death. It really is powerful. I've just been enjoying Yellowjacket a lot. I think it's a really, really powerful card. That's 6 mana now. I'm going to go like this, put the Vulture over there, move over the Sunspot. This looks really good for me. We can maybe Cloak in the mid, I don't know. Or maybe we'll just go for that Heimdall, putting Vulture. I'm going to snap on this. Looks pretty good for us, I think. The Heimdall are going to be able to win us Altar of Death 9 times out of 10. And Polaris being able to cheekily sort of nullify that Sunspot a little bit. Move him into the location we already have a lot of strength in. Jubilee is strong here. Although when it pulls a Psylocke, not quite as good. There's of course the possibility of a random Galactus, but I'm not going to worry myself too much about that. I've got Kraven here. Playing Kraven into the right seems like a decent idea. I can go Miles Morales here. Do we want to play Iron Fist or not really? We can always Iron Fist with Heimdall at the end of the game perhaps. So maybe now it's just Cloak, and we will tempt them to move cards here, go for the win in the left and the middle. They might even give my Kraven value as well if they move cards across. And equally, we can move a card maybe to get some more Kraven value. I mean, we shouldn't really be worried about losing the Altar of Death, I feel like. Should be very good for me. Oh, there's also a Devil Dinosaur, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. I think we're just going to go ahead and do the old Heimdall. The great thing about Heimdall here is it doesn't really care about Aero in the slightest. It just really doesn't. So I'll do a play like this. We should always win the Altar of Death. We get that insane Vulture value. They could Cosmo me. That would be the one card that sort of gets me here. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to worry about Cosmo, I don't think. It's not a card you see too often. Just a random Iron Man. I mean, Iron Man in the right makes sense. But the Heimdall here is just going to completely ruin their time. We get some decent Kraven value there as well. I should have played Iron Fist first there, technically, to get more points middle, but I don't think that really matters. We don't have any early plays, but we have New York, which is really good with Vulture. Maybe Dagger. There's a lot of locations that really favor movement, which is very cool. Very good for this deck. Speaking of, we've got a Strange Academy as well. Goodness me. I think I'm going to snap on that. It has to be good. Dagger, Vulture, play them both here. Hopefully they go to the right. If they do, that's just going to be so powerful. Be able to move them back across with Heimdall or New York. And I feel like the opponent's probably going to see what's going on here and get the hell out of dodge. Although, I guess we'll see, won't we? Ah, man, I love the Vulture. I love the Iron Fist, though, as well here. So I might just go for a Maximus now into an Iron Fist Vulture play. I think that's probably the way for the time being. Just get some priority going as well. We've got a Thor coming in from the opponent. Might be a Lockjaw deck or something like that. Let's go Iron Fist here. Vulture moving him into the mid, of course. Next turn we can maybe go Cloak, Miles, maybe Kraven if we're lucky. Alright, opponent took a lot of time thinking there. Let's move that Vulture across. And Lockjaw coming in. Okay, not too surprising. And Mjolnir popping out. Okay, well that gives us a Shang-Chi target potentially here on this turn. Should we want to go for that? Which, you know, it's very tempting. It is certainly very tempting. I think I will go for it. The only downside is we get one less value on Dagger, really. I think I have to take the opportunity, right? It's a pretty good one to take. I'll hold on to Yellowjacket. We can always play that mid at the end for some surprising extra value. Let's hope that the Vulture and Dagger go to the right so that we can move them with Heimdall. But, you know, if they don't, not the end of the world. And I'm hoping this Yellowjacket value will come in clutch here. Just those cheeky couple of extra points that the opponent will not really see coming. Such a great card, Yellowjacket, man. It's you just don't appreciate how damn good it is most of the time, I feel. Okay, Wasp is back in the hand for the opponent. That's pretty good for them. They get another very decent card out of Lockjaw. They're going to move all our stuff across. Not the end of the world. We're going to move them back. So Magneto's gone. Jane Foster's going to pull out that Wasp again. So that's a bit scary. Oh, but we get Dagger Vulture on the freaking right. That's so good. That is really so good. So how do we do this here? Well, interestingly, we now have an Aero. Of course, we can move cards across. The Dagger's really strong there. It's a shame I didn't get one more card on the right. Then we could have just gone Dagger, Vulture, moving across and easily sealed the deal. The problem with the Heimdall here is, well, I think you guys know what the problem with the Heimdall is, right? I think that's the play. As opposed to, well, we can also have 18. Maybe 18 is better with the Vulture. I think this is always the play, right? We just absolutely mash them up. I mean, it doesn't really matter which way we do this. I think we're kind of chilling either way. Alright, should be a win. They're going to retreat. Okay. Fair enough. Can't blame them there. We had huge amounts of movement value. Very nice. Let's get one more game in, shall we? See if we can get another nice movement win. This deck actually does perform very well, to be honest. Because we're just running a bunch of really broken cards, like the Aero, the Miles, Yellowjacket, Vulture, Iron Fist, Maximus. Like, these cards are all just powerhouse cards. And the movement package with Heimdall does work reasonably well. Let's go ahead and start with the Kraven in the right. That'll give us options in terms of movement. Generally, playing our cards in the right location is good because we can, of course, shift them across with the Heimdall. Something you've got to kind of remember to do. I'm not the best at doing that. I sometimes forget. Okay, Maximus on curve is great. The Shang-Chi is also going to be really, really good for us here. Oh, yes. Play that Thor in the Monster Island. Please, go ahead. Okay, beautiful. So we've got Dagger, we've got Cloak, honestly. I'll probably play the Cloak here, the Dagger here, and then aim to move them both across with the option of moving them all the way to Monster Island, although we probably won't go for that. Should also win us Asgard, drawing us a bunch of cards. They're going to Jubilee here, though, so that'll give them a big unit. Perhaps. Oh, no, just a Wasp. Should probably snap on that. I think that will be a pretty easy win here. Does allow them to move around a bit. Perhaps we don't move the Kraven, we just move the Dagger here. I can keep the Kraven over there, and then, of course, maybe we just Aero them here, actually. For a cheeky Aero, then we have Heimdall as an option, or Miles plus Shang-Chi. I mean, we've just got... The world is our oyster right now. That's a bit of a bamboozle here. I think movement really... If you can play it well, the deck gives you a really huge amount of value for sort of outplaying your opponent. Okay, just going to be Jane Foster here. Nothing too intimidating. So we've either got Heimdall. I mean, Heimdall looks really powerful here. We just go for a Heimdall mid. We shift everything across. We're going to have 1,000,000 points middle. And we can even play a bloody Yellowjacket. We also have the Shang-Chi, but I think... Well, I mean, Shang-Chi is also a pretty good play, but I kind of want to do that movement. Hold on, if I do Yellowjacket first, we lose 2 points, but then we gain 2. So we actually end up with... Because of the Kraven, we get a bit more value this way. Let's do it this way. I think the bamboozle value... Well, if they don't retreat, will be more than enough to win here. They probably imagine they're already winning on the left, so we'll just dump a bunch of strength mid. Get the win over there as well. Fast forwarding, oh god, we've got too much power going on here. Game decided to fast forward for us. Very nice, look at that. Clean victory. We would have won with Shang-Chi as well, but decided to go with the Heimdall for the win there. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Do, of course, subscribe for more videos as always. Check out a video on screen if you've got nothing else to do. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.